today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 87 of Shop Talk. It's Jennifer.
And Kari.
And we're back to recap the penultimate episodes of The Rookie and The Rookie Feds, so 521 and 121, which happens to be another crossover, more so storyline-wise. So, and the LAPD and FBI teamed up to stop a serial murderer. We saw Laura Stinson, who was kidnapped by the killer. And we also saw Lucy Chen go undercover again, which was amazing. So we do have some news to start off with, though. Do you want to take us through the first one?
Sure. Still don't have anything about the Rookie Feds being renewed. But we did get to see like 4/5 of the Rookie Feds Celebrity Family Feud team because Britt's husband Paul posted it to his Instagram. So we saw Britt, Kevin, James, and Felix. So at least we know a little bit more about who's competing for them. And obviously, like, they wouldn't not have Niecy. So
Yeah.
I mean, at least I would think. I don't know.
Didn't we see, well, there's 5 for the rookie team, so they've got to have a 5th. But didn't we see Niecy in like one of the other behind the scenes images that he like shared? Britt's husband shared?
I don't
We
mean,
saw
it
like the
was-
back of her, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
I'm just assuming it would be her.
Yeah. DGE Press also posted promo photos for the Rookie season 5 finale and Fed season 1 finale. We get Worried Chenford separately in the Rookie promo pics, but based on the promo, it doesn't look like they're going to be that affected, but like also who
No.
knows? Not affected by the case, like as in peril, I should say. And then it looks like the Feds are going to Vegas for an op, so that'll be fun. We started the season, like the new season of the Rookie and Feds, with Chenford going to Vegas, and now we're going to end it with the Feds going to Vegas.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah. And then the promos for next week. I mean, that Rookie promo was literally insane. I don't want to think about Aaron or Selena, anything else happening to them. I've already went there. I might have had a mini spiral last night, so that's fun. But yeah, so those look intense. I can't believe that we're already at finale time, but also I can, and I'm excited, so that's fun.
Mhm.
But do
Yeah.
you want to take us through the last bit of news?
Well, Eric and Rosalind, as always, they released a new episode of their podcast, He Said Adiho. They brought Kiera Barnes and John Gabriel Rodriguez from Rosalind's show Fantasy Island on, so that's kind of fun. Because like lots of people like from other shows that we've seen, including Davika from Feds, have been on season 2 of Fantasy Island this year, so it's pretty cool.
I listened to their episode yesterday, and it was really cool hearing them talk about like their audition process for Fantasy Island, some of the things that they've done like in the industry. One of them was the sneak peek for the episode, and Rosalind was like, anyone who's an actor or who wants to become an actor, don't do that. And it was basically where she just like walked into the room, started like saying her lines, and then just like stopped midway and was like, you know what? I'm out. Like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, my jaw dropped while I was listening to that, but it was definitely cool to like hear all of that.
Yeah.
And then Eric was like, you know, the Rookie is like my longest running show. Like, I haven't had many things that have went past like 1 or 2 seasons, so that was fun.
Yeah. So I think like I want to say like Witches only got 2 seasons on Lifetime. So.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. I think he said, besides for the Rookie, that was like his longest running. But yeah, so if you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out. It's really, at least I find it interesting to hear like more of the background of like the acting like industry as a whole. So yeah. But with that, we'll just jump right into the episodes because there was a lot. Like, I don't know. I watched both of these episodes live. I know that you couldn't. So I don't know. I thought they were pretty great episodes, but I
Mhm.
might be biased. So start
Yeah,
us
no,
off
you're
with the
good.
rookie.
Yeah, so for 521 of the rookies, Going Under was the title. We're gonna start with, obviously we can't have that title and not start with Lucy Chen being undercover.
Mhm.
Um, so we see, well, her operation technically begins with a briefing in the roll call room with Tim and Gray and everyone else, because they're discussing, their main suspect, who is Frank Tesca, and he was in last episode. So, um, and they're focusing in on him since Metro raided the last chemical plant that that Frank's crew was using illegal amounts of this polymer. Frank doesn't have a supplier anymore to make the 3D printed ghost guns, which also ghost guns were in this season already before with when Angela was doing it, um, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Mhm.
And so since he doesn't have the supplies to make the ghost guns right now, it's where Lucy comes in, and her undercover alias of Jamie Hall will be working at the chemical company as a salesperson. And we see a montage of sorts. I never know what else to call it. Like, it's not really a montage because it's not like they have, you know, lovey-dovey music or something and it's
Right.
like happy things, but like a compilation. I don't know.
Yeah.
um,
I loved how they did it though, for sure.
yeah, no, it was good. And it's over the course of, well, of the first 4 days with Lucy's operation of basically getting Frank to kind of take the bait more or less. And day one I thought was absolutely hysterical because she meets Larry, who's her new boss, and but he knows about her undercover operation with the LAPD and is almost too eager to help.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little, I don't know, like suspicious or skeptical. I was thinking, oh, okay, she's probably gonna get made because he's gonna blab.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think Lucy proved throughout this whole entire episode though that she really can handle people. And so like when she kind
Yes.
of told him like, hey, this needs to be the last time you mention the LAPD. Please and thank you. Like she was still nice about
Yeah.
it, but I think she was able to really just, rein people in this episode, including Larry. Because even when Tim brings it up on the phone, she's like, I can handle it. It's good. You know, I got
Yeah.
it. And we also got the Chenford phone calls in this montage. Um, and on the first day, Lucy had asked, if he's okay with this, and he is, and um, he like implies that she thinks that he misses her, and she's like, and he jokes, he's like, no, I'm good, basically. She's like, oh, okay, you're a jerk. And so that was kind of fun to like see them
Hmm.
joke around with each other a little bit and keep it light. And they promise each other they won't watch Top Chef, which I don't know why. I just find it about as random as Balin watching The Bachelorette or The Bachelor or whatever it
Oh my
was.
God, I forgot about
I can't
that.
remember now. I find Chenford watching Top Chef to be about as random as that. To me, like I don't know where they come up with these.
But I would love
Um,
to see them watching Top Chef because, as we all know, Tim doesn't like Tim's a picky eater. So,
but I guess he would
you
like the
know,
competition aspect of it.
yeah,
Of like, well, I mean, a lot of food shows nowadays are
yeah.
competition based, maybe.
Lucy would probably be
Yeah,
like, oh
because
my
of
God, that looks so good. And Tim's like, there is no way that we're making that.
yeah, I could see that, I guess. Yeah. Um, and so, they promise not to watch Top Chef while she's away. And um, she asks if he will check on Tamara, and he says, of course, he'll check in on her. Uh, and yeah, so the voiceovers were cool to have. It was different, like something different that
Uh-huh.
they added in the episode. Um, and I like how they put, I don't know, like I never know how they do this in like post production, how they like faded the days to like go
Yeah.
in to the
Yeah,
actual scene and fade out. If that
it
makes
was
any sense at
cool.
all. I'm a terrible explainer of how they did that, but
It was
that was
cool.
cool for sure. And so after the day 4 in all capital letters comes up, we see Lucy, well, as Jamie is walking from her car to the building, and Frank gets out of his car and approaches her, saying that he knows she's not Jamie Hall. And for a second, since it yay, cuts to commercial, like
Hmm.
that's great. Um, I was thinking like, oh no, she's been made. That's not good. Because
That's
I
what
mean,
I
I
thought too.
because I stayed off of Twitter miraculously for the most part. Um, at least until like the end of the episode, I kind of spoiled
Yeah.
that for myself a little bit. But um, for this part, I was like, oh, okay, so I really did think, oh shoot, like, but then I was like, wait a minute, this is like 10 minutes or 11 minutes in. I was like, there's no
Hmm.
way. Like, hold the phone. Um, but anyway, so Lucy has not been made. Frank says like, "Oh, you're actually Lisa Thompson," and that's her a different undercover alias that she
Yeah.
used. And you know, her alias of Lisa is wanted for cashing bad checks, and Frank uses that to get her to walk and talk with him. And Lucy acts as though she can't have any part of this, of his operation, but Frank kind of holds the, warrant for her arrest out over her head and gets her to work with him since she's at this Southland chemicals plant. So she can steal a few barrels of product at a time, and no one's really going to know any different. And um, she kind of begrudgingly goes along with it. And he says that they'll meet for dinner and they'll discuss things then. And I don't know how, because see, I thought Tim was wearing a completely different outfit in the
Yeah.
car, like when he was like sitting in the lot or whatever, versus the one that he got out with. And then I kind of realized, well, we didn't actually see the whole outfit when he's sitting in the car,
Yeah.
obviously. I was like, how do you get a hat and sunglasses? I was like, where did those come from?
I mean, if it makes you feel better, at first I didn't think that was him. I was like, that's someone from like Metro or something, like
I mean,
watching.
I assumed it was. I guess they didn't really show his face all that well. I just assumed.
But then, like, after they did like show him a little bit more, because I was like hesitating on tweeting it, and I'm like, I don't want to say that that's him
Oh, okay.
because I don't know if that is, but then it turned out being him, and I was like,
Oh,
thank
okay. So it
goodness.
was
But
okay.
yeah,
Okay. I was like, oh
but I
shoot,
was
did I get
like,
it wrong?
is that him? Like, I couldn't tell again because the clothes, I was like, I thought he was wearing like a different jacket or something, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I just assumed because when they like, I don't know how to say it, like when the camera flipped back or they shot it at a different angle, I just saw the like the close
yeah,
crop of his hair.
yeah,
So that's why I just assumed that it was Eric, as Tim.
yeah,
But anyway, later we see Lucy meet up with most of the team to update them on the case, and even Wesley's there to go over any legalities. Like, if sex or money's on the table, then the word entrapment would be able to be used, which is not exactly something that can help their case. So Lucy knows to watch carefully for signs of, I get like Frank pushing the envelope, kind of. Um, and poor Tim having to stand there and listen to things like that, though. I was like, oh. And then for the wire comment to be made, make sure she has a good
yeah,
wire in case Frank gets handsy. I'm like, wow, no wonder he's having a difficult time separating his thoughts from his feelings.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and then, obviously at the very end, Gray reminded him, to treat Lucy like any other UC and to treat this case as any other operation. And like, we all know he'll do his best, but I mean, the man is gone, like head over heels for Lucy Chen. So
so true.
I mean, yeah, because I feel like because Tim doesn't really he doesn't like to say that he's emotionally attached or show his emotions very well. It's like, obviously you can see this internal struggle for him. He just
Hmm.
doesn't want to share it, but everyone kind of knows like he's going through it a little bit. So
Yeah.
um I was honestly glad though that not much was said at the dinner. Because I was like, no, if anything, like if he actually tried something, I'd be like, okay, this is not good. I mean, it wasn't good what happened next anyway, but I was just like, okay, we had a small little snippet of conversation.
Yeah.
Because Lucy, well, as Jamie / Lisa, reminds Frank that she's like in over her head a bit and she's never done something like this. And, he's trying to, keep her, casual and, keep her kind of calm down about the whole thing. And they don't really get much further than that because then bullets start flying. And, well, we see an SUV had pulled up alongside the curb. Tim was like across the street from the restaurant and saw that and called it in. And the person or persons in the SUV were mainly taking shots at Frank and Lucy's table, but you saw kind of bullets go throughout the whole restaurant. And we see Tim, well, he's like radioing and then says that he's giving chase to the one suspect, and he barely manages to escape out of that situation since the gun apparently wasn't loaded, but he like took him down. See, this is why I hate when they film things in the dark, because I literally had to rewind to go watch it again, and I'm like, oh, okay, there was like 1 or 2 punches thrown, and then that's how the guy was taken down. But still, he told Officer Jan when he showed up that he got lucky this time, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, so that could have ended very differently.
Yeah.
For Tim. And so then while that's happening, Lucy wants, well, as Jamie wants out of this, operation she's doing with Frank, he kind of grabs her arm and tells her, it's not how it works. So she's staying in, but she's also going to go home because this night has been, disastrous. And he'll be in touch. And Tim and Lucy talk on the phone again, and they agree to meet at the, laundry room of her undercover apartment. And when she arrives, he's already there. And we get the hug, which is nice. Well, the first hug, I should say. And he asks if she's okay, and she is, and he wants to, make sure Frank hasn't tried anything yet. And Lucy says that he hasn't, but she can handle it if he ever did. And again, you can kind of see that Tim's still not exactly good with everything. Even though he tells her that he knows she can handle it, Lucy also acknowledges that knowing it and feeling it are 2 different things. And so he has to, he's planning on making this like a quick conversation.
She has other ideas though.
Yeah, because he has to go update Gray. But before he goes, Lucy kind of, I don't know if she see, this is what I don't know if it's like their height difference or what, but the camera never catches like what she does. Like if she taps his arm, grabs his arm, whatever, or but in a whispered tone, tells him to lock the door, implying that they're going to hook up there, because it before it cuts, you see the slightest smirk / smile on Tim's face. So
at first I didn't catch it, and so I was like, wait, is this happening, or am I just hallucinating things? I couldn't tell. And then other people, and I thought about it more, and I was like, no, she did say lock and door. So
you know what my dumbass thought for 2 seconds though? I literally thought she was just like, okay, you can lock the door when you leave, and I'm like, why the hell would that should be stuck in a laundry room? What good does that do? I kid you not, for 0.5 seconds I thought that, and I was like, okay, I need to apparently jump on the Chenford hookup train, because that's where they were going.
That might be the best thing that I've heard all day.
I was just I don't know. It just I mean, I get what they were doing, but it just seemed like such a, I don't know, a randomly placed line. I don't know. But again,
I don't know. People were saying this episode was straight out of a Chunford fic, and If there is a fanfic with Chenford like in the laundry room, like doing things, I don't know if I will like read that or be scared or what. I don't know.
Yeah, if there are R-rated Henford fics, I haven't read any.
Same.
So yeah, but yeah, apparently that was one of the moments that, everyone was excited about. And so next day, she's like outside of her uh undercover apartment texting Tim. And I always have trouble when they put text or computer things up on the screen for what they think is the appropriate amount of time for someone to actually read it.
Mm-hmm.
I never catch all of it, so I had to pause and go back. But I did catch that the phone said Tim instead of, Bradford or,
Yeah.
Officer Bradford. So that was cute, I thought. Because she's texting Tim, and as she's doing that, Frank pulls up in his car and he yells like the loudest voice ever. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what in the world? At her to get in, and after she does, he knows who took shots at them at the restaurant and he's going to take them down, but he needs a lookout, and before Lucy can really say much else, he's already speeding off in the direction of the uh warehouse. And so they arrive at the place where they do the 3D printing for said weapons. And Lucy puts together that Frank thinks one of his guys did the shooting, and he confirms it. He's like, yeah, granted. And so he orders Lucy to stay outside and keep watch. She stays by the car, but calls Tim, because she's kind of freaking out a little bit because she had texted him 911, and so he had like followed them there, but she doesn't really know how exactly to play it. But Tim, tells her, well, the first thing is to keep murder from occurring. So she goes inside the warehouse to grab Frank, telling him that the cops are on their way. And as this is happening, Tim is called for backup, and the shops arrive just as Lucy and Frank get away in his car. So and she pulled him out before he had a chance to take a shot at Grant. So that was good. Crisis somewhat averted. And you would think, oh, good, she's out of the woods. She's not, because after they get back, Frank pulls a gun on her and says that she has about 10 seconds to prove to him that she's not a cop. Because how else would she know that the cops were on their way? And
Yep.
she tells him that she has a police scanner app on her phone, and asks if she can show it to him, and so she does. And Frank asks why she didn't leave him inside to get arrested, and she basically is like, well, no, I wish I had. And then he kind of goes on this, I don't know, like, I don't know what the word is, like wistful discussion about how, when you're in prison and you think about when you get out, there's all these things that you're going to do, but then you get out and the world's changed and people have moved on. And kind of it's alluding to his daughter, and Lucy mentions that maybe, oh, it's not too late, you can still, get back in touch with her. And he seems to kind of take that into consideration a little bit. And he even apologizes for threatening her before she can finally, get out of the car. I don't know. The one thing, even though, because then Lucy calls Tim and says that she thinks the op is done, I just thought it was slightly ominous that Frank was like, not if I see you first.
Yeah.
After she was like, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know, because people have also used that in like a, I don't know, lighter, flirtier like as a flirting line or something.
Well, and he's kind of
So,
creepy, so he could have just meant to like more of a fun
yeah.
tone or something, but even then I don't think that he would have. So
Yeah, I just didn't really know what to make of it. But she, like I said, she does call Tim and tells him that the op is pretty much done because Frank has no crew and no product because Tim had picked up Grant and 2 more of the guys from Frank's crew at that building, and Tim jokes, that's too bad because he was expecting another laundry room hookup.
Mhm.
So we got that little moment. Chenford, like phone Chenford. We had a lot of that, which I didn't know that
Yeah.
I needed, but it was good.
Yeah.
Like I liked it.
And their flirty banter.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Like I don't know, because like I always wonder how I don't but it just seemed to flow. I mean, I'm sure it's just, because Eric and Melissa work well
Mhm.
even when they're not like facing each other, because I
Yeah.
just always wonder, oh well, is it gonna seem awkward when like people are on the phone and trying to, act like they're talking to someone, but it flowed really nicely, I thought. So yeah. And so lastly, we get well, I was gonna say sneak peek, that's not the right term. The clip that was posted on the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
that ABC did. We get Tim and Lucy going back to her apartment, so she can kind of unpack and get herself together after this week-long operation. She just wants to like sleep, eat food, have quality time with Tim. And she confesses to watching Top Chef without him. And Tim's like, bad girlfriend, horrible. Like as she's walking, I thought that was so funny.
Why
She's
did
like,
I
I'm
immediately
sorry.
think of him telling Kojo bad dog? I don't know why.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
why.
can't deliver it how Eric did, but
It was
just I
so
mean,
good.
yeah. And because she's like taking her duffel bag back into her room, and she then mentioned how he didn't write up the restaurant shooting in the report, how he almost died basically after chasing the guy because the gun was empty, and Tim's like, well, it's much ado about nothing. And he's kind of like, well, he feels like she's not telling him everything that's happening on the operation that she was on, and she insists that she just thinks that maybe he's projecting because of how Isabel was so secretive with him previously. And she wants him to be able to see the difference, and he says of course he can, but he wants her to take it seriously also when he might sound the alarm about something, and like she promises that she will. And it kind of, I don't know, like I didn't want that. I didn't know if it was like gonna turn into like I don't know what direction it was going. I didn't want them to have like angst or anything. I didn't think it was gonna be a huge fight or something, but I just kind of thought like, oh, okay, this is a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
But he kind of softens a bit and just says, he doesn't want to lose her like he lost presumably Isabel, I'm assuming. And she assures him that he won't, and she'll walk away long before like any operation gets to that point. And we get the second Chenford hug of the
Yeah.
episode, so that was nice, like to end on for them anyway. Yeah.
I always feel, well, at least last season too, I felt like we got a lot of Chenford like towards the end of the season. I feel like that's kind of how it is again. I mean, really, it's just been like 2 episodes, but it's
A
nice
little
to like
bit,
hold
yeah.
us over for the
Mm-hmm.
hiatus,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then next we have, sorry, I just feel like I literally talked for so long about that one storyline, which then makes me wish that like the NoHo Dough stuff was like pushed, or like the
Yeah.
other stuff was pushed, because like I feel like I talked for so long and then I realized I have like 3 more sections to go.
No,
I'm
that's how I
sorry.
felt tweeting too, because I was like, I feel like I'm just tweeting like all Chenford because it was just like little bits of the NoHo Dough case and like the Selena
Yeah.
and Scott stuff and everything like thrown in,
Yeah.
and then it was like once the halfway mark hit, it was like, let's transition into this no-ho-do case, like completely. So
But
yeah,
even then they're still pretty, like, I don't know,
pretty kind of
like
heavy, I guess.
sections of the Jennifer still wrapping things up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, so on to John and Nyla. They're working the no-ho-do case. And again, this from last episode is coming back around because it's still unsolved. And really, though, it's more like John and Selena / Nyla coming in at intervals.
Yeah.
But I digress. So first, John and Selena are called to the morgue, investigating the latest limb discovery, which was an arm that was cleanly severed. And the coroner was so, like, hadn't seen anything like it before, couldn't even really tell them what instrument had done that. As for the no-ho-do case, though, like for the leg and whatnot, it like assumed to be a blunt instrument, or the torso. Wow, not the leg. The torso was assumed to be a blunt instrument. And later on, John and Selena find a leg and a foot. A homeless man had them and wanted money for them. And I was like, what? Why? No. Like, that's nuts. Like, what even? Like, it was
like
so
negotiating.
Quick, too.
Yeah,
it was so quick. I was like, okay. Like, I don't know. I just felt like they could just like found them on the street or something. I don't know, but whatever. I was just surprised at how many limbs they did find in this episode. So, I guess Nyla really wasn't wrong when she was like, there's a lot of limbs that can be found in Los Angeles. So anyway, then they get a call about another leg was found, and this time by a guy and his dog, which we'll get a little bit more to later. And so they get that one to the lab as well, and that one was the one that matched the torso. So now the torso has a leg along with it. And while this is all kind of happening, they're waiting for the prosthetic hip like identifier to come back to see if they can use that to ID the person that the body parts belong to. And they do to someone named Trip Linden, but they still got to figure out who the heck killed him. And so they bring in two people, Hank and Mark, who are the ones that reported Trip missing a month ago. And apparently the trio were close, so they say anyway, since Trip apparently had an extensive armory collection, and things like RPGs, for example. And I loved how Nyla's eyebrows raised at that, and she was like, are you really that dumb to tell me this right now? Like, that's what I thought her face represented.
She is the queen of expressions. Like, she doesn't even have to say any words. All she has to do is just like have an expression, and it says everything.
And Nolan and Juarez are observing Nyla's questioning of these two, and they're kind of bouncing ideas back and forth about whether or not they're guilty. Because like Hank and Mark offer up another suspect. They say, no, maybe the woman Trip supposedly went to meet up with in Vegas did something to him, and their initial reactions were a little stoic, like et cetera, et cetera. Turns out Hank and Mark did do it because after John and Selena scrubbed their social media, they found videos of like Hank and Mark shooting at everything, including a cow. But then there goes Trip into a shot, literally like into a shot of the video. Blew his head off with a machine gun. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I like paused and I was like, there's no way. Like, what in the world? So that was just crazy. And so apparently these two morons decided to cut up the rest of him. Like, why? I didn't understand. I was just like, why? I don't know. But they're
Yeah.
kind of insane. Um, yeah. And so obviously they're putting out warrants for both of their arrests. And um I loved the moment between John and Nyla though when, he was um or they were assuming, oh, okay, they're just gonna have SWAT do it. And I was like, where's the fun in that? And John's nervous laugh and Selena's like, oh, she's not kidding. He's like, no, I wish she were. She's like, of course Nyla's not kidding.
Hmm.
Of course she wants to, do all the things. Um, and so they like cut when they come back and they cut back over to um John and Selena. Like had picked up Hank, who apparently while trying to evade police arrest blew off his fingers with a grenade. So he's like being rolled in on a gurney. So uh those two along with Nyla are like with him kind of coming into the hospital. And as they're arriving, they're discussing going back out to search for Mark before he realizes there's a warrant out for his arrest as well. Uh, Turns out they don't have to go very far because in comes Mark to the nurse's station asking about his friend who was injured by explosives. And they try to approach him, but he pulls out a gun. Thankfully, Queen Angela Lopez comes in, literally just like elbows him backwards,
Hmm.
grabs the weapon, like the badass she is. So,
I love how she told Wesley, she was like, what, you just expect me to stand here? And I was
yeah,
like, that.
yeah. She just
Yeah.
didn't care too. It's like
Yeah.
Wesley could have not even been there. It wouldn't, I mean, even if he was, like she, she's just doing the damn thing. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Um, And so lastly for this part of the storyline anyway, Nyla's back at the station and Nolan comes up saying how Gray had said she wanted to see him and she did because the arm from the beginning of the episode that the ME flagged is connected to a case in Arizona, because the coroner there found a different arm severed in the same fashion, while the victims were still alive. And John wonders if it's a serial killer and asks if they should call the feds in on this. And Nyla already did because cue Simone Clark showing up. And she's ready to jokingly steal the thunder from the LAPD with this potential serial murder case. And she does ask John to bring her up to speed, though. So that's, I'm assuming, because I still haven't actually watched Feds yet. That's where Nathan crosses over to Feds.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was kind of, so I guess, I mean, Simone crossed over to the Rookie too,
Yeah.
but I don't like, it wasn't even so much the crossover aspect. I just literally felt like the NoHo Doe could have been taken out and put into another episode
Yeah.
or just have been in the Feds episode. But then again, I
Hmm.
haven't actually watched Feds yet, so I don't know how much there was in that.
It was like the entire episode.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know, or just I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I thought it was like badly done. It was just this is one of those instances where like when other people may say it for other episodes and I don't really see it,
Yeah.
I kind of see it for this one. Maybe they could have, I don't know, just somehow.
She came in at like the end. So I was kind of like, okay, this is clearly done. Like, we're
Yeah.
going into Feds now. Yeah. I
Mhm.
don't know. It was,
But I mean, it was still good. I enjoyed
yeah.
seeing
I feel
other
like
characters
lately
on the
they've
show.
been putting a lot into the Rookie episodes, which I like, but then I'm also like, we don't need to like have one big main storyline and then like little stuff, like maybe the Aaron and Lopez stuff and the Selena and Scott. Like, we don't need to have two major storylines, like kind of competing for screen time and then little ones too.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if they have one major storyline and it kind of falls flat, then they're really like hoping on the other two to kind of, you know, help it like stand on its legs. But even then, like I don't know, having two major storylines, they're fighting for it. So
Yeah. Well, because like we didn't get a, sneak peek of Lucy going undercover, even though that's what half of the episode description was. But yeah, we got the two promo photos of Lucy undercover, even though they didn't really show much. It's not like we got any of, John with Nyla or John with Selena or anything. I don't know. It was just, I mean, it was fine. It worked. I liked that there was a lot to, watch and react to. But I
even
just
like the rookie promo though didn't really have anything to do with like the rest of the episode besides showing like the little bit that we saw from like the feds or that would carry over in the feds. So yeah, I don't know. If we do get a season 2 of Feds, there definitely has to be some work on the crossover aspect for sure.
I just want more characters. Like I want to see like that behind the scenes photo of Richard and James. Like I'd love to see from a while back. Like I'd love to see like Carter and Gray work together, or like I don't know, or Matt, and I could see like Matt and Angela again like teaming up like they did in the Thanksgiving episode a little bit. Like just I don't know, or just I don't know. Just more people.
Because them crossing over the storylines is nailed down. They've got that. They've got that in the bag. But like they just need to work on crossing over the characters now. Like, can we get another Brenson and Chenford interaction? This time with Chenford like actually dating.
Yeah.
And Brenson like being a more established partnership. Like yeah. I don't know. Like I said, if they do get a season 2, which hopefully they do, I mean, fingers crossed, that they kind of iron out these crossovers a little bit more, because the case and like that carrying over is for the most part there. But yeah, it needs to be the character, like part of it needs to be crossed over and ironed out a little bit more. So yeah.
So it'd always be fun to see more people on each of the shows. And so for the Aaron and Lopez stuff, I mean mainly is Aaron and Angela, but Wesley showed up in a couple more scenes. But I mean, I just loved that the episode started out with the sneak peek that they posted to Twitter when Angela was talking to Aaron from inside her closet and Wesley caught her. The first case that she asked Aaron to help her out with was to get this guy's DNA. And so we see Aaron rifling through garbage at the station for apparently days, until he finally finds a cotton swab with earwax, and ta-da, there's how you get DNA. And I was like, seriously? Out of all the things, like no half-eaten food,
no like
things, or like bite marks or
mouth on a cup, nothing.
Like dang.
Ugh. And he spent how many days going through this like
Well,
trash?
I think it was 4, because it was
Had
the
to have been.
end, like the end of Lucy's, or the when they put up the days or whatever, and then it was like that's the same time.
And all he got out of it
Smitty
was
came up and he was like, and he was like, he like held it up, he's like, there it is, and Smitty's like, okay, sure, like that's fine.
If Aaron makes it out and is in season 6, I need more Smitty and Aaron, please and thank you.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah,
like I need them partnered up one day. And Aaron's just like, really? Didn't we already have that or similar to that? I don't know. I need it again though.
Yeah. So got the DNA match. So one case technically closed. And then we had Gray being a mood throughout this entire like Aaron's storyline too, because he was a mood when he, came in and was like, this better be spotless when I get back, referring to the table. And he's basically told Aaron, go rifle through the trash somewhere else. Which is why he went out to the shop bay, whatever the heck you call it, the place where they put the cars. Yeah, so when he's on the phone with Angela again, much to Wesley's dismay, even though Wesley's staring Angela down and she can feel it too.
Yeah.
He's telling him like, and I have to, stop talking now because my husband's staring me down. So I thought that was funny. Aaron does offer to take another case off her hands, which involved getting a witness to a robbery to talk. And the other sneak peek we saw about Aaron and Mr. Perry doing is it clip talk or
Clip talk?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dance routine, and of course Gray's hilarious. What in the hell? Like that total meme moment. I think M on Twitter already memed it.
Yeah.
I think for
yeah, it was something like when I won't stop talking about the rookie and my family or something, and they just like walk out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And so since they did the, dance routine together, Mr. Perry gives Aaron the information that the guy who robbed the liquor store drove a silver Accord with the license plate starting with 3JR. So Aaron's able to, track that. He meets up with Smitty. Smitty had kind of checked like in and around the car, but hadn't checked the trunk yet. And so when they do, they discover a body in the trunk, in the car, in the alleyway. And they go into the auto shop that the car is parked by, and they find another body not too far inside. And Aaron deduces that the second guy, like the second body they find, died from a heart attack because his last search was for heart attack symptoms. And his theory of things is that after the successful burglary, I love how he labeled the guys though, too.
Yeah.
Like front guy and heart attack guy. So front guy and heart attack guy get into a disagreement, which leads to heart attack guy killing trunk guy and obviously putting the guy in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this is too much for heart attack guy, who barely makes it back into the building before he's dying of said heart attack. So another case closed by Aaron. And I don't know, I just thought it was like, I don't know, because he was just so like proud of himself, and like throughout the entire episode, like you could just see how he really is like absorbing things and learning as he's going. So yeah. And he stops by Lopez's hospital room. Angela's there for an appointment when she did the badass gun takedown thing. And Aaron tells her that he managed to close 7 cases. And she said that she'll tell Carradine about how he stepped up. But before he leaves, he mentions that Aaron would be a good girl's name too. And Wesley sighs, saying how they wanted it to be a surprise. But all I thought was like, yay for Lopez having a baby girl.
Yeah.
Like that's all I thought of.
See, my mind immediately went to the worst thing ever. Well, that was more so like after we had seen the promo, and I was like,
no.
Oh
yeah, fair. After the promo, yeah, I was like, oh heck.
Yeah. Only because of past experience with the Lopez babies. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, listen, we had a Jackson mention, which I will get to in a second, with the Selena and Scott thing.
Yes, and I did not realize that was a Jackson mention until I had seen that on Twitter after the fact, but
I don't know how my mind just like will latch on to things like that though, and like just immediately will just go like, oh, that's right, and I'll just like think of it, and I was like, oh, like, oh,
yeah. I don't know. I'm excited though that Lopez is having a baby girl. I can see it in season 6. Angela being like, okay, we have one of each now. Now it's time to get that vasectomy. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
I can totally see it. I just have a feeling that it'll be like like early in the season.
She would literally put like post-it notes everywhere, and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
one more day. Oh, today's the day. You're going.
And then when he
Kill you if
like
you don't.
doesn't want to go, she's like, "You're going."
Yeah,
Like, end of story.
yeah. I could
Yeah.
honestly see like Wesley trying to get out of it somehow, and then like bam, Angela just pops out of
Uh-huh.
nowhere and is like, no,
Yeah.
you're going. I
Yeah.
could see that. But yeah, so for the Selena and Scott stuff, it was kind of just, I mean, I was gonna preface it by saying that towards the beginning of the episode, Selena had told John how she decided to, get back on dating apps, and then while driving, she found it like entertaining to keep swiping on profiles. And she also asked John how he and Bailey met, and he recalled when she showed up on his porch in a towel. I just can't believe that was season 3.
I
Well, at the end
know.
of season 3. That seems
Yeah.
like ages ago. But his point being that he wasn't looking for love when he found it. And Scott was the guy that I'd mentioned earlier, with the dog who had found the one severed leg. Um, I just thought it was like, because I didn't know what Selena was doing when she took a couple steps forward when the dog wouldn't like back off.
Hmm.
But she ended up giving him a hug in order to get his dog to not be so possessive about the
Yeah.
leg. And I was like, dog is like guarding this leg. And he growled even when Nolan tried to give him the dog treat. And I was like, dang, Nolan's like the, you know, friendliest,
Hmm.
character or whatever. But then yes, we got the because Selena asked like, oh, you carry dog treats around. And he's, it was a trick that he got from a friend. So presumably that's a Jackson West reference, which we miss him. So but then so after kind of they managed to get Scott's dog away and can get the leg, um, Scott asked if they kind of needed anything else from him, and Selena was like, no. So they go on their way. And back at the station, Nolan mentions how it's funny that even though she can, kind of understand people's vibes, she didn't pick up on Scott's signals, and he kind of was just walking away, laughing and smiling about that. And Selena was like, "It's not that funny."
Hmm.
So I thought that was a good moment. Um, and when she and John are outside in the courtyard, Selena sees Scott like again and gets nervous and uh asks John, well, what the heck should she say? And John, being John, was legit like, start with hi, and then he makes a mad dash out
Yeah.
the opposite direction. And Scott does end up asking Selena out, and she accepts, so they're, it's a date.
Hmm.
And we don't see their date, but we see Selena and John walking outside at the end of uh their shift, both dressed in plain clothes. Selena's going on her date with Scott, and John tells her maybe she should just let things happen instead of, trying to read into it with, tarot cards. And he cites like he and Bailey as an example of how things can, just work out how they're supposed to. And before she takes off, Selena tells John that he and Bailey are going to get married in September, even though John said they're not doing anything before the spring. Uh, and the episode ends with John dialing Bailey, presumably, and asking what she thinks of a September wedding. So, maybe foreshadowing.
I feel like that is.
Don't know.
But
But we'll
then
see.
again, I don't know. They've been engaged for so long and we haven't really heard anything about like, oh, we're wedding planning or oh, what do you think more
Yeah.
about like a spring wedding or anything? So, I mean, who knows?
There's no
I
wedding dress try-ons yet.
yeah. I don't know. I kind of wouldn't mind it if they were like just engaged for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah. But
But
that was it for the rookie episode. Again, lots of things going on, so I felt like it was like long-winded in some parts, and then other parts were very
yeah.
short and to the point. But
Yeah.
still a good episode. I
It
enjoyed it.
was. It was a good penultimate.
Yeah.
So we do have some listener thoughts. Valerie had said, I love when everyone has equally important parts of the story. The check-in phone calls were really cute. And I wonder if Tim recognizes the irony of lying on his report to protect Lucy when he got so mad at her for doing the same thing in season 2.
In
Yeah.
201, yeah.
People brought that up.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at first until I went on Twitter after watching the rookie part today and seeing that parallel. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Haley had said I thought they were that they both had really great episodes.
Joycelyn had said pretty much the same thing. Both episodes were very good last night. They definitely were.
And Blessed Turtle had said the irony of Selena not knowing that Scott was into her is not lost on me, and it was very funny. My favorite part was when Nolan suggested Swap move in on the survivalist, but then Harper and her warrior spirit did not let him. And his chuckle at the end of that scene was priceless. And Lopez was barely in this episode, which is understandable since she's on maternity leave. But what little we got was still fantastic. And Aaron being a thorn in Gray's side was great too. As for Chenford, this was Lucy's second long-term assignment, I believe, and it somehow felt way more high stakes than the last one. And their final scene in this episode made it abundantly clear to like most of the fans and hopefully to them too that, you know, they're important to each other. There's no, like, they had to have realized how much this whole thing means for them. There's no way that they didn't. And if you had told Blessed Turtle even 2 years ago that Tim Bradford would be in a relationship where he's so smitten that he stepped outside of his comfort zone to have a spontaneous hookup with his partner in the laundry room of an apartment building she's staying at while on undercover assignment, they would have owed you so much money because that is a bet they would have made and lost. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting it either, just like the implication of it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And Blessed Turtle said, hope Thorson and Juarez pull through next week. That promo is going to haunt them for the next week. Fair.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was it that we had on the rookie. I think it's time to move into the rookie feds, which I'm gonna totally spoil all of it.
I don't care.
No?
I already read the one thing about the Brenson making the joke and that killed my shipper heart inside, but then I was like, it's fine. They're platonic and I love them, so I really
but just because they made that joke doesn't mean that it still couldn't happen at some point.
I know, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of just they're dead in the water for me right now. But that's okay.
It's not like it's enemies to lovers, but it's kind of like frenemies.
It just cracks me up, though.
Yeah.
It cracks me up either way. I was like, yep, I can see that.
This episode was good. Like, I'm expecting all cap reactions when you watch it.
Probably because I love Britt.
Yeah.
And Laura.
So we open the episode, there's the serial killer watching a couple, and once she leaves, he zeroes in on the guy who's looking at his flat tire or whatever. And it literally looks like he backed up on a slab of nails. I don't know. Ew. It was so odd. Yeah. And so he looks up to see this serial killer with a knife. But then that person is tased, and the guy with the taser tells the driver to run. And it was eerie. He was just run. And it was weird. I don't know. So then Garz is briefing the team. John's there to give them the rundown of, what the LAPD found. And at that point I was like, why John? Why is it not Gray? John is just a TO. I don't know.
I guess maybe because he worked the case. But then why not bring Nyla too? Gosh darn it.
Right? I don't know. It was to me, I just felt okay, John is just a P2. He has no stake in this. His name, might be on the case, but he doesn't have any say in completing it or whatever. I was just okay, that's kind of odd. But then again, he met with Simone and the rookie, so whatever. So they pull up photos of the severed arm, mentioning the unique cut. It was clean, no striations, like no burn marks, whatever. And so they match it to a severed leg. And that's when Simone was called in along with Antoinette, who points out that both limbs were severed with a water jet cutter. And she can't ID the victims yet, but DNA typing is in the process. So Antoinette's like, I'm going to examine the arm that just landed in my lab. And Elena's like, can I watch that happen? Like, I want to kind of join. And Garza is like, yeah, sure. Why not? Let's just put her on with Antoinette. So Laura mentions that there has to be another factor that connects these victims together and like ultimately the serial killer to the victims. And so Elena and Antoinette are looking at the arm. Antoinette's like walking Elena through the steps that they'll do the physical exam, like mentioning the condition of the amputated limb is consistent with the 2-week timeline since removal. And so the leg from the Arizona victim was removed 2 weeks before the severed arm. So Elena's like, there'll probably be another severed limb out there soon. And Antoinette warns her about jumping to conclusions this early on. And so Antoinette pulls out like an infrared camera that literally just looks like it was her iPhone. And she's looking at the limb with something stronger than like the naked eye. And Elena's like, she looks at this part in the limb and it looks like it might be a tracking device or like maybe a microchip. And that's how they can ID their victim. And so we then go over to like see Simone talking to the victim's wife, who tells Simone that the last time she saw her husband was 15 days ago, and she didn't notice anything strange about before his disappearance. And so then there's a lot of cuts in the feds, like it's like every episode they're like cutting over to things. So we see Brenson talking to the liquor store guy. He is very adamant that he does not remember the victim. And he's like, he tried to rob me, but then a guy in a mask showed up and tased him. And, the liquor store guy is just going to get the security tapes against his willingness. So they're watching the liquor store security tapes. They see the taser the serial killer is using, and it's not like the normal ones, apparently. So this one delivers twice the voltage of the stun gun. And Laura mentions that the case from the cold opener, like that one has to be, or they come to the conclusion that the guy with the taser is their like killer, or the guy that they're like after. And so we cut over to the guy with the taser. He's got someone lying flat on this table who's asking like why he's doing this. We don't really know who his next victim is. At least there's not like a name attached to him. And so the killer's like putting on gloves, chokes this guy on the table, and says he's doing this because he's a predator and he rages against his fate. This guy is very dark. And so then like later in the episode, Garza asks if they have anything. Laura sasses back and she's like, no, but you know what I do have? A boss who's like down my neck, like down my back, looking for answers. And she sasses back. She's great. She tells him, that it's going to be a little bit and that they don't even know how he picks his victims. And Garza is just like, the odds are that he's stalking his victims. And so Antoinette and Elena come in with DNA match results. They couldn't find a match for the female victim, but they do find a DNA match between her and Sebastian. And so the victims are related with the same biological father. They do some digging to find out like Sebastian never knew who his biological father was. It was a sperm donor. So that sends Simone and Carter on their way to St. Stephen's to find out if the female victim was a product of the sperm donation or if her mom was like hooking up with the guy. And so the doctor, he's like, HIPAA regulations, not going to give you those records. And then he mentions that there was a hacker who accessed records from 30 plus years ago and then like wiped them from all the servers. And so they're desperate for hard copies of the file. And they get access to like this room full of boxes, old papers, like it's a mess. And so they call in Elena and Antoinette. Simone thought she was just getting Elena, but like Antoinette comes along too and tells her that fertility records are highly technical with anonymity. So Elena will need Antoinette's help. And so Carter mentions the first priority is to get Sebastian's donor father, like his identity, and then use him to get the identities of the other siblings from the sample. And so we go from seeing the serial killer like washing his bloody hands to Antoinette and Elena still in the file room. Elena like makes a crack about her age and how things were done without computers. And Antoinette's like, how old do you think I am? And Antoinette's like, actually, don't answer that. I literally love these two. Like, we need to see more of them. And it's kind of a crime that we haven't been given any like scenes with just them until 121, but I digress. So Antoinette finds Sebastian's mom's file. It doesn't explicitly say who the donor is, but it does give them a code that like will match the corresponding donor file. So they find Thomas Clay Briggs with the same file / code number. Elena is like, I know that name, and looks him up. He's currently serving 6 life sentences for serial murders for 5 people in the early 2000s. So then we go over to Brenton, who's talking to him in prison, and Brendan like looks a little uncomfortable and also kind of like nervous about it. And Laura's just sitting there with HBIC energy. I mean, she is like not taking shit. So they get right to the point, asking about the donation. Briggs could like care less. He's like, yeah, so what? I needed beer money. Like, it wasn't a big deal. And so they mention serial killer, and he just like laughs. And they ask who could be behind this, and Briggs is like, well, maybe you should pay a visit to the families, you know, that had these kids from my donation. Even bringing up that what he did to their loved ones, he would want revenge on too. So that's a little ominous. We never really gotten further explanation for that. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, what did he do to their families? We never really got that. So Antoinette and Elena get to the last box. They've got 7 kids from his sample born between 1986 and 92. And so they find the identity for their African-American Jane Doe, which was Edwina Davis. And Elena hasn't been able to track down everyone's whereabouts, but did find Maggie Whitlock's address. And so Simone and Carter are meeting John to speak with Maggie. And Nolan's like, yeah, I thought you guys should be the one to tell her what's going on, and I'm basically just here for support. So they go in and they meet Maggie and Theo, her little boy, and you know, Simone's like, can we talk somewhere where there's not like little ears listening? So Nolan's like, I'll keep Theo company. And so Maggie never really knew that her biological father was a sperm donor. And so she's kind of freaking out about that and the fact that he's a serial killer. And they tell Nolan that, or they tell her that Nolan will stay there with her while she packs and like then escort her and Theo to a secure location. And Theo like ends up going out the doggy door to the backyard, walks up to Roman, who is like the guy with the taser, the taser. And Simone like looks out. She sees someone in the backyard. She's not really sure who he is, but assumes that it's the killer. And so she tells Maggie that her and Theo need to get into the bathroom, lock the door, like, you know, like prepare for whatever could happen. And Theo is nowhere to be found, obviously, because he went out in the backyard. So now they're on the hunt for him. And so when Simone, like, they go out into the backyard, Simone like sees someone. She announces herself, like kind of points her gun at them, but it's Theo. He's unharmed. He's fine. He ends up giving her a ring that Roman gave him, which, as she classified it, was like a little trophy. And so we go back over to Brendan and Laura, and he's asking her if he thinks that it's a coincidence that Sebastian turned into a violent criminal, given who his father is. And Laura's profiling him. She's like, you know, she's going all into like his psychopathy or whatever. And they've got the phone number for another one of the Briggs kids. Well, she ends up calling Roman Griffith, who is the killer. He ends up thinking that it's a scam call. Yeah. He ends up thinking that it's a scam call. And he's like, I'm not giving you my social security number, Agent Sensen. And she's like, this is not a scam.
Oh my God, I could just imagine it because she's probably like, don't you fuck with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. So then, you know, her and Brendan are like exchanging looks, and Laura's like, what the fuck? Like, this is not a scam. So she just tells him that his life is in danger. And she's like, are you in LA? Like, are you in LA right now? And he's like, no, I'm in Vancouver, actually. And I mean, at this point, like, he very well could be. Like, we don't know because it's before we see him like watching the house. And so he mentions the label Sick Monster, and Laura's like, well, I try not to use that label, which it comes back up later. And so she kind of gives him a quick profile on serial killers and asks what he should do. He asks what he should do. And I'm the entire time I'm like, Laura, this is
Oh
not
my
the guy to be doing
gosh.
that too. So we see him then watching Maggie's house from her backyard, which is creepy, but
Oh
okay.
my god. Oh my god.
So Garza is, they're back at the bureau. Garza's like, we're so lucky. Like the team, what would have happened if he took Theo? And so the team questions why he didn't take Theo. And he's like, well, the good news is that the other potential victims have been accounted for. So, we have to shift into hunting mode. He's moving fast and has definitely made some mistakes. And so, like later in the episode, because it was about halfway through the episode that Laura got kidnapped, like just for
Yeet.
reference. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, where's the housewarming party?
Yeah.
Where's the happy?
Your mind is gonna be blown the entire time because
Oh god, I'm probably gonna be like, what the heck?
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay.
So Laura's been kidnapped at this point, and Garza and the team are talking about why the killer would have taken her. And Brendan, Antoinette, and Mark all say that the killer is one of Briggs' biological children. Like they came to that conclusion all on their own. And yeah. And so it's not a motive, but it is a lead. And so Garza thinks that Roman is in Vancouver because he has not been given this information. And Simone comes in and she lays that theory to rest. And she's like, nope, that's the guy that I saw in Maggie's backyard. And then we cut over to see Laura pinned against, I don't know, it looked like an inversion table, but it wasn't. Like it definitely was not. And she's talking to Roman, profiling him again, kind of, and pulling quietly at the restraints. And he talks about his childhood, saying that like him and his parents tried everything, but like nothing would relieve the pressure in his head except for violence. And he wanted to murder people, but like found ways to stop himself. And so he said like he found out who his real father was, how he was the worst version, and like how he found out that he had other children, violent children, which he mentioned Sebastian, and then he mentioned Chet, and we never met or knew anything else about Chet. But it doesn't explain why she's there. And so she's like, and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. Which at this point, live tweeting, I was like, so is she there because she's one of the other siblings? Like, we don't know anything about her family. She could be, right? And then I was like, or did he like track her location? Like, I don't know. I was like spiraling out. And so he then mentions Maggie's son, Theo, and how he has the DNA. And he's like, the only sane thing I could do was take him out, but like, I couldn't do that. And Laura's like, that's because you have a conscience. Like, yeah, you're not going to take out a kid. And so Garza talked to we go back over, Garza talked to the LAPD, the apartment's empty, there's Bolo out. And he's like, but I'm not waiting on that. And so he asks what they've pulled on their subject. They bring up his school record, his criminal record. And then Simone pulls up his past work history. And the last two places he worked at closed about 6 months ago, where he would have access to a water jet cutter. And they're like in like abandoned like industrial buildings. And so Garza, Carter, and Simone are taking one while Brendan and Mark take the other.
Oh, that's a good separation of people. Goodness.
Yeah.
Gracious.
Yeah. And Laura and Roman are, still talking. He's basically wanting some like crude pep talk before killing Theo. And it's just weird. And so she tells Roman that like he kills because he wants to, and they can't rationalize that. So he apologizes for bringing her into the mess. He goes over to put his gloves on, and he tells her that she knows too much now, and he's going to strangle her. And he tells her what her body will do. He's like, naturally, like you'll want to fight it, but you can't. That's just in your DNA. It's a whole thing. I'm like, oh, dude, God, you're just like stalling at this point. But also like, don't strangle her. And so you know, like he's just like, you know, let the strangulation continue on. And she then gets free from the wrist restraints and ends up punching him.
Yeah.
And like the baddie that she is, and then she like he reaches for the gun and starts shooting. She's running now, and they're like in another room in the warehouse, and she's trying to get out and like, but she can't. She starts kicking at the door, leading him to shoot some more because obviously he hears that like faint noise. She ends up finding a landline to like go make a call, but the phone doesn't work. So it's like everything bad that could happen went wrong. So she's smart. She's distracting him, like throwing him off her trail. And then, like, I totally missed this last night, but it looks like she has like a nail gun, like a industrial nail gun or something, staple gun. And so she like shoots him in the arm, throwing more punches, kicks him, you know, and then at one point she has a gun held to her face.
Oh, geez.
And he's like, you're not getting out of this. So then her fierce protectors, Brendan and Mark, I don't know, that name is basically reserved for Tim Bradford, but like, hi, at this point, you know, she needs them. So they get into the warehouse, they find the bag with blood and limbs, and Mark like freaks out. Oh my gosh. He's about to walk up. He's like, man, I gotta do this. Brendan's like, no, like, let me take the lead. I've got this. It turns out to be a man's body. Thank God. And Brendan talks him down. He's
shit.
Like,
so he like, oh my God.
Yeah. I should have I shouldn't have spoiled that for you.
I don't even care. Oh my God. Because I'm sure it'll be like, you know,
oh, it's
emotional and shit.
It's emotional.
Oh my God.
So Brendan's like, dude, we still have time. Like, you got to get your head back in the game. Like, you know, we can do this. We can find her. And oh my God, it was just, it was so good. It was so good. And so because you saw a little hint of their bromance kind of come out there, and it was so good.
Well,
so
like, you know, because Mark helped Brendan like get over his aversion to blood and stuff and get refocused. So there you go. He's repaying the favor.
The parallels. So just as Laura and Roman are walking somewhere, Roman puts her into a headlock because, you know, he sees Brendan and Mark, and naturally that's the only logical thing to do, right?
Apparently, when you have a tiny person
with
a gun pointed at her, it's fine.
He ends up giving her up though, puts a gun to himself, and then shoots himself.
Oh, geez.
And Laura witnesses it. She's like, you know, kind of freaked out. Brendan then goes to Roman, and while Mark checks on Laura, that's kind of that. That entire thing though is so emotional. It was a lot.
I'll probably just be like, I'll probably like drop my phone. Won't be able to text you, so I'll drop my phone.
Yeah. So after everything, Garza like sends Laura home with Mark. He tells her, and he tells the team that like it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep tabs on the rest of the Briggs clan. And Carter's like, for their safety or for the world's? And Garza's just like, well, for both. And so Simone like tells them about Billy and her personality and like how things can come from DNA, or sometimes it doesn't come from DNA. Like it just kind of depends. They all kind of give her shit about it. Like, you know, Carter brings it up and he's like, well, I can tell you it isn't her DNA. And so then at the end of the episode, Elena pokes her head into the lab, thanks Antoinette for letting her work with her. And Antoinette's like, I should be thanking you. But Elena's learned so much and like loved it all. So Elena offers to buy her a drink and talk about studying forensics if she isn't busy with a vampire cop. And then Antoinette,
because we wanted that for Elena.
Yes. Like, and I love how she called Brendan vampire cop. So I'm like, I love that.
Awesome.
So then Antoinette like flips the coin and makes a crack about her age. And she's like, are you even old enough to buy a drink? It was so funny. I love these two together. Like, I need more of it right now. Yeah, so that's about it that we have for the serial killer part of it. That was a lot. But yeah, it was an interesting case. I mean, for sure, it was a little creepy with all the severed limbs, but kind of better than that walking hand that they found in the rookie. So
yeah, literally like seeing like Lisette's behind the scenes post or whatever, and it's just, I'm aware that it's a fake leg, but just like seeing her and Ben pose with the leg, and I was like, no, that's weird. I don't like it.
Davika had shared some behind the scenes from this Feds episode, and she was just like, it was great. Like, I had to do so many takes with this arm, and I was freaked out every time. And I'm like, I would be too.
Girl after my own heart. Yes, ma'am.
Like, they
same.
looked very real.
Oh.
They did. I mean, I'm sure part of it might have been, I don't know, but it was just, yeah, it was a lot. But now we have Statless in Laura's house, which was literally the cutest thing. I'm so excited about this. So Laura and Mark are checking out her new house. She's excited that this is her first home. She's bought it with her own money. And we have Laura in like the comfiest outfit ever. Yay. I loved it. I loved how she wasn't like so, like I don't know, just like dressed up kind of yeah, I don't know, like in her work uniform. But I mean, it came at the cost of her being kidnapped and tortured, so that was fun. But she asks Mark if he's okay with her putting down roots in LA when he's still in DC. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. Like, he even tells her that he loves her and then plays it off that he loves her neighborhood. And she's like, no.
Oh my God.
You said those 3 words and now you're trying to backtrack. It's literally so cute.
Oh my God.
So, oh my God, this next part, he then asks if they should christen the place, and she jumps into his arms, which is so cute. Like, I love when the couples do that or whatever. And they're talking about all of the places that they could do it at, like the kitchen counter, the floor, like,
oh gee, where have we heard that before? With Dim and Juicy from the Rookie. Oh my God.
Oh, and I'm just like, hold the phone. We got a Chenford hint and a Statless hint at sexy time. We win. Like, we win.
Oh my gosh.
So then Laura, like, all the happiness is paused, and Laura's called into work even though she has a day off. She's like, Garza wouldn't text if it wasn't serious, like, I have to go. And Laura volunteers Mark to help with the move too and tell the movers where to put things because he's the only one that's there.
That's fine.
Yeah. And so Mark's like, oh, okay. And so he calls Laura while Brenson's like interviewing the liquor store guy. And he's like, I'm using your keen profiling skills and placing your furniture exactly where you would want it. And she's like, oh God, that's great, but you have no sense of interior design.
And she does.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And she points out that the couch should be the focal point because he's like got it against the wall or something. Like, it's so funny.
That's fair. I have heard that before.
Yeah.
Like, the larger pieces of furniture should be the main stay in a room.
So then Brendan peeps into the FaceTime and he's like, hey, Atlas. And Mark's like, hey, buddy. I love these two.
Stop. Oh my God. I will be screenshotting that whole entire scene. I'll use that right now.
I'm so sad I'm spoiling it for you.
I don't even care. This is great. I'm visualizing
but I'm giving you like the cliff notes. Like, you still have to watch the episode because
heck yeah, I'm watching the episode.
So
heck yeah.
So Mark is wondering like when she'll be back, thinking she should do this. I mean, I would too. That's her place. And he's like, I should not be decorating this for you by myself.
Yeah.
And so she's like, it'll be a while. Like, I'm on a serial. And he's, she's like, but you're busy proving your love for me by getting my house squared away.
Oh dear God.
And she hangs up with Mark and walks by Brendan. And he's just like, so glad I'm not dating you. And she responds with a sassy, me too. And I'm just like, I love these two.
I love that. Like I said, I don't even care that it like kills my chipper heart. It warms my platonic friendship. I just love anything that Kevin and Britt will ever say and do. Heart.
I wouldn't even say that it like friend zones them. I would just say it was like some playful banter between them.
Hilarious.
But
love it.
So then as Brendan's leaving for the day, he tells Laura that he'll see her in about 30 or 40 minutes and asks her what kind of cheese plate she wants. And she's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, Atlas invited Antoinette and I over for a housewarming party. And she's didn't tell her.
He's probably like, God damn it, I put all this furniture out on your house. The least I can do is invite my best bro and his girlfriend over.
Yeah. Oh, but it just keeps getting better. So you're like getting ready for Laura to get like all sassy and annoyed with it. But instead she's like, no, that'll be great. It'll be nice having you. And I'm just like, okay. What is going on? What have you done with Laura?
Yeah, like what is that? Oh my God.
And she's like, just surprise me with the cheese. Like, it's fine. I'm like, where was our invite to this party?
Yeah, they're gonna have a full-on charcuterie board. Like, dang,
Yeah.
I want to see.
So Laura's then, they're over at the house. Laura's glad Brendan and Antoinette came over. And Brendan and Mark are moving the couch for, they just keep like moving it back and forth, apparently.
For like the umpteenth time. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And Antoinette's just sitting there and she's like, I can help. But she just kind of seems like awkward with the whole thing because she doesn't really like talk with Laura a whole lot, I feel like. So
a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming she's sitting on a different piece of furniture then.
Yeah, she is.
Boys are moving the couch.
Okay. It looks like Laura has like a couch or like a love seat and then like two, like standalone chairs or whatever. So
dang, for Brendan saying it was an adorable house, seems like she has a lot of room for stuff.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what she lived in before. Yeah. So Laura and Mark are like flirting, they're bantering, and Brendan's just disgusted by it. I feel like that's so typical for a third wheel too.
Oh God, yeah.
And Laura talks about how much she loves the living room, and Mark asks, sitting down on the couch, after they've moved it for the umpteenth time. And Mark's just like, he straight like talks to Brendan, like he looks at them, doesn't even look at the women. And he's just like, do you ever notice how people can easily express love for things, but not for other people?
No, he did not. Oh my God. Why is he always pulling Brendan into his shit? Like, no wonder he's so disgusted. He's like, get me out of here.
Oh, it just keeps getting better. So the camera pans over to Brendan and Antoinette's faces, like, separately. And they're both feeling awkward about this. Brendan's caught off guard when Mark asks for his opinion. And Brendan's just like, is this another passive aggressive fight? I don't like it. And it's weird. And he just wants no part of it. And I'm just like, you go, Brendan. That is weird.
Yeah,
that is weird. So Mark is glad that Brendan agrees. And at this point, I'm like, I don't totally know if he agreed with you, but okay.
He's gloss over that part. It's fine.
Yeah. And Mark's like, it makes being here all day easier. And he's like, I'm sad that I missed the fun of chasing down a serial killer. And I'm just like, be careful what you wish for, dude. Like, I don't know if you really wanted to be doing that. And Brendan's like, you think that was fun? We got to get you out more. Mm-hmm. So it turns out that Mark has been fascinated with Tom Briggs and starts talking about his psychopathy. And Laura's like, oh, the weekly nature versus nurture debate. I got to start drinking.
Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, it is one of the most commonly talked about psychology debates. Yeah.
Yeah. So she finds the bottle of wine pretty easily. She can't find the corkscrew though. And she asks Mark, she's like, what box is it in? And he's like, oh, one of the like dozen that I've looked in a few hours ago. And she doesn't really like look for it. She's just like, yeah, I'll just go out and buy a new one. Like there's a cute little market down the street or around the corner. And Mark offers to go with her, and Laura, is still so chipper, and she's like, no, like you stay. I love a nighttime drive. I love the wind in my hair. And so she gets outside. She's about to get in her car when Roman comes up behind her and tases her. So that's the kidnapping part. Oh my gosh. But the best part is, I know I just keep saying the best part, but like truly this entire housewarming thing was everything that I've ever needed and did not know that I needed at the same time. Yeah. Brendan, Mark, and Antoinette are still talking about Briggs, all while like Laura's getting kidnapped, tased, kidnapped, like everything. They're still talking about Briggs. Brendan's like, the thing that bothers me about Briggs is like he didn't know any of the kids, but somehow the new serial killer knows the exact fertility clinic to burglarize. And Antoinette's like, you just never turn off, do you? And Brendan's just like, not when you're around. And I'm like,
oh my God.
what is going on right now?
Oh my God. Oh,
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I just love everything about this housewarming party, except for the fact that like she got kidnapped, obviously.
Mhm.
So Mark asks who else would have access to the information. And so, he starts naming off potential suspects, and Brendan's like, or the children themselves. And so, all of that's happening while she's getting kidnapped. She ends up coming to realizing that Roman is the killer or whatever. Mark is back over at the house, like setting up the Xbox. Brendan's like, God, I can't believe that Laura has an Xbox. And Antoinette's like, she's the only sane one here. She's sitting there and she's like, speaking of her, where is she? Like, shouldn't she be back by now? And
yes,
Brendan's
women's
like,
intuition. Good.
yeah. And Brendan's like, yeah, didn't she say that the market was like down the street or something? And so Brendan looks out the window. He's like, her car is still here. And so now everyone's worried. I'm like, it's about damn time that you're worried. Like, I don't know. They're all worried about the Xbox and what game they're going to play. So they walk out seeing, the car's still there. Her phone was dropped underneath the car. Brendan immediately knows that the killer has her. We then cut over to the bureau. At the end of the episode, Statless is back home. She is in another comfy, cozy outfit. Love that. And she's still loving the house, but like hates the memory of being kidnapped that comes along with it. And so she apologizes to Mark for not saying the 3 magic words, I love you, and making endless jokes about it. And he says that it's their thing and, he doesn't care. And she's like, no, you were right. Like I was deflecting. But, while I was tied up, all I could think about was that I didn't want to die without telling you that I loved you. And she says all that to Mark. And, she's like, they're being all cute. They're kissing and everything. And she pulls away and she's like, I still don't like the way that the couch is in the middle of the room. And she's like,
God.
Yeah, like in the middle of the kissing. I'm like, that's what you're thinking about right at this moment.
Oh my God.
So she pulls away from him. She's like, do you want to help me move it? And he's like, now? And the way that she said yes was my absolute favorite. And they get up, they laugh, they move it.
That's hilarious.
Like, I love it.
That's like when she pulled away in the, we can never decide what to call that lecture room thing.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I still have, like 20 more slides of this PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like she can't turn it off either.
No. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait for you to watch all the Statless scenes. And I mean, honestly, just like Britt killing it.
Yeah.
Everything. But yeah.
I mean, I do like Statless a lot, so I'm sure I will. It just, oh my God. But then then you have like the Brendan and Mark romance thing too. So it's just like you get like all the things. So yeah. That'll be good.
Yeah. So, it was so good. It was so good. I love it. Again, even more of a reason why we need season 2 to see more Mark Atlas and Antoinette and these 4 together, because it's comedy gold right there.
Yeah.
So we did have a little part with Cuddy. I don't really know where this was going. I mean, I figured it was going like somewhere a lot more like deeper. But then at the end, it was not that deep. I didn't think, at least. So Simone and Carter are walking back from being in the room with all the files, And so Simone sees Cuddy in the emergency room and she's like, whoa, hang on. And so he tells her that he got a little dizzy and didn't want to worry her, but the doctor's like, his symptoms could be caused by something fairly benign. And they're going to run tests just to be sure, meaning that he will stay overnight and so will she. And Cuddy's like, no, don't worry about it. Like, you've got more important things to do. And so he sees Carter and tells her that like he'll call her with any changes and that the doctor will keep her updated. So later in the episode, Simone's back to spend the night at the hospital with Cuddy. And she asks him about when he found out about like getting dizzy. And she like makes some comment about like his sex life. And I'm like, this is weird. Like,
oh.
It kind of crossed the line and I was like, no. It didn't it did. I felt like, and I was like,
it's bizarre. No.
Yeah. Like when you hear it, Yeah, it's
I
just
want to
kind
be
of,
like cringe. Oh gosh.
especially because like last episode, like, yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Well, he's obviously embarrassed. And she tells him that like she talked to the doctor who's still waiting on some of the test results, but ruled out the big scary stuff. And so Cuddy, I love this man. Like he just he's so like naturally funny, I feel like. He tells her about the blood that they took out, and he's like, they took out enough blood for like a vampire family, like to feed them. And he's just like, I could have called you with the test results tomorrow, but Simone's like, no, I need to look into your eyes and find out how long you've been getting dizzy for. And he's like, it's been about a week, like off and on. And he still brushes it off, telling her like if he was getting freaked out over every ache and pain, he'd be living at the doctor's. And he's like, if you haven't noticed, I'm old, so you know things are gonna start happening. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on?
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So a cot then rolls into the room, and I'm like, isn't he just in like a double hospital room? Like, why doesn't she just stay in the other hospital bed? It was weird. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with the storyline, but they only have one other episode to do it. So the cot rolls into the room. She tells them that they're having a sleepover, which again could have been phrased a lot differently, I feel like. This was about as random as the Bailey storyline from last episode with her friend.
Gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, there's nothing you can do about it, but do you want to play a game of dominoes? And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun.
Oh,
Turns out that at the end of the episode, he just has a minor ear infection, and that's why he had the dizziness. My thoughts exactly. The face that you make
like,
is exactly what I had.
I'm like trying to remember that, like, yes, your ear connected to like your nose and your throat, but I don't know about your head, like your brain.
I feel like it's leading to something more.
Oh gosh.
I mean, what? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
And he's just like, I just didn't like being fussed over, and he's still hesitant with having others take care of him. And someone's like, you know, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Like, you know, you're a good dad. Like, you've lived a while. Like, you know, you deserve to be taken care of. And so he goes to get up and pretends to be unsteady and like falls back onto the bed, which isn't funny.
Oh my gosh, no.
And he's just like, I was just checking to make sure that you had my back. Because she's like, that's not funny. Let's go. And I'm just like, what is the storyline?
Wow. Oh gosh.
Like I said, it was about as random as the Bailey storyline from last episode. So
yeah. Because it's like you said, they only have one more episode to do something with that, if they're supposed to do something with that.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it like going into season 2 if we knew that they were getting a season 2, but at this point I'm like, it's a throwaway storyline. So yeah. That's about it for the Feds, though. It was a wild episode.
Yay, I can't wait to watch. I think this is like the first time we've recorded and I haven't actually watched everything yet, so
I know, and you were so excited for it being the Laura episode. So
I know.
As soon as we get off recording, you have to go and watch it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So I think that's it for Feds, but we do have some listener thoughts. Do you want to take it away with the first one?
Yeah. So Mindy said it was a great episode of Feds. She loves Laura and Mark, and the scene with Brendan and Mark when he thought Laura was dead was emotional. Yes. Elena and Antoinette were great together. And Mindy also said, fun fact, Sam, I don't know if Sam Understood. I don't know if it's like that's his actual last name or if it's meant to be Underwood. I don't know. Who played Roman, played twin serial killers on The Following. Oh, that's the show that Sean was on.
It was Sam Underwood. That's his name. Yeah.
See, I was like, I figured autocorrect probably did something.
Yeah.
Gosh darn autocorrect. Okay, so Sam Underwood, who played Roman, played twin serial killers on The Following, who were arch enemies of Sean's character. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I've been meaning to like watch that show. And she said the song playing in the first scene, you see Roman and was playing in the background during one of Sam's scenes from the following. Oh, cool. So, like,
Interesting.
I mean, I guess like if this episode is like a darker tone, and I know like the following is about, you know, like essentially like cult leaders and like the power that people have over others. So I guess that tracks for sure.
Edwina said, I love the fact that Mark blurted out, "I love you" in the first scene, and Laura spent the date ducking it was hilarious, but also so funny. They are cute together, but that doesn't stop me from shipping Brunson. Yes.
That sounds like me.
Are you sure that you didn't write that?
I may have. Definitely sounds like me.
I mean, long live Brunson. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that they become a ship, but then yet I'm also like, you know what? I'm 100% fine if they just stay platonic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, I'm cool. Like, they're hilarious. I just love them. So, Blessed Turtle had said, all I have to say for Fez is I loved the villain. It gave them Dexter Morgan flashbacks from the TV show Dexter, which is always a good thing in their book. Well, yeah, because I think that show's like about a person who's a serial killer.
I wouldn't know. I've never watched Dexter.
I just remember seeing the title card, and it's like a blood spattered
title card. I remember
the title really card. Crazy.
I think I was like too young to watch Dexter, or it wasn't on a channel that I had or something. But yeah, that's about it for Fenso. It was a good episode, a good penultimate. They both were though. So
I'm just glad we had thoughts for Feds.
Yes.
That means people watched it and enjoyed it too. Because I felt like they both yes, like the rookie kind of like went above and beyond in their like own caliber of things, but then like Feds brought a good episode too. So it was like they both just like did really well this week, I think. So with that, you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. And you can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And I'm at JStarcade04.
And we're also on TikTok at the Shop Talk Podcast _ And if you like this episode and Shop Talk, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps out the podcast and helps other fans find us as well. And wow, I can't believe we're saying this, but we'll be back next week covering the season finales. Oh my
gosh. It's so crazy. I feel like we were just covering the season finales.
Yeah.
With Chenford like practicing their kissing.
Yeah, and now they're like actually doing it as a couple.
Oh my God.
That's what we call growth.
And this time last year, we did not have the rookie Feds. Well, we had the backdoor pilot, but like we didn't have the actual thing. So crazy.
We had a full season.
Yeah. Look at how far we've came in a year. Yay. Proud of us. Proud of this little rookie universe.
Yeah. So
but that's it.
We'll be back for season finales. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Go get him, boo.